What's going on, guys? I'm Jay the Black. Shout out to everybody that's tuning in. I want to talk about Patrisse Cullors. She is the disgraced former leader, founder of BLM. She was getting funds and using it to her benefit as far as buying properties with her wife here, Jaye, who's from Canada. She's from Toronto. And together they have been a grifting power couple. Okay, they have been grifting all over the place, you know, especially with BLM, buying properties all over the US, and now it looks like in Toronto, you know, she's finally able to go and get what she wants, you know, because Patrisse has been getting what she wants, and now her wife wants to get what she wants, and then she wanted to get her a mansion, and she got one. So we're really going to talk about this, man. I have made a few videos, at least 3, on this Patrisse Cullors situation. I'm going to link all 3 in the description box. You can see them. The first one will be first, second one, third. Go check out those videos, man. I have been going in on this situation with Patrisse. I feel like Patrisse she shows why female leadership continues to fail. Especially these women who are quote unquote activists, who are nothing more than people living off the funds of others who give to them because they think these people are going to make a difference. They make no difference. BLM is very ineffective. The only time you hear about BLM is during election time, when they're utilized by the Democratic Party to be able to go out there and throw the race card around and, you know, and use their organization to go at conservatives. That's the only effectiveness they've ever had. Or raising money. I will say this about Patrisse and BLM. They are very good at raising money, but they're very good at spending it too on themselves. And we're going to get into this. Let's go to this Daily Mail article. It says Black Lives Matter transferred millions to Canadian charity run by wife of co-founder Patrisse Cullors to buy a Toronto mansion formerly owned by the Communist Party. BLM Canada in the summer of 2021 purchased a 3-story Victorian mansion in Toronto to turn it into a 10,000 square foot art center and meeting space. The $6.3 million mansion was bought by M4BJ, a Toronto-based nonprofit set up by Jaye Khan, wife of BLM co-founder Patrisse Cullors. On Saturday, the New York Post reported that the funds for the art center, named Wild Seed, were provided by Black Lives Matter Global Network. That's where that money is going. It's going to buy mansions and properties. Cullors was executive director of the group until she resigned in May of 2021 amid scrutiny of her $3.2 million property empire. On Thursday, the Washington Examiner reported that no one seemed to know who was currently running BLM or managing the group's $60 million. Probably people who are still loyal to Patrisse and are still helping Patrisse out, you know, sending funds to certain areas. That's what it seemed like to me, because I'm pretty sure when she left, she had people there that worked under her who still would help her and you know, get her the funds that she needed, man. I'm telling you, man, that the BS goes deep. It really does with these people. That's why you can't trust these people. You can't trust. Look at who started the BLM. Like, you cannot trust these people. They're only in it to line their pockets, especially Patrisse. Black Lives Matter transferred millions of dollars to a Canadian charity run by the wife of co-founder Patrisse Cullors, according to a report, which was used to buy a $6.3 million mansion to house an art center. What does an art center got to do with Black Lives Matter? Can somebody explain to me what an art center has to do with helping the black community? This was for Jaye because she's one of these artsy weirdo type chicks. Okay, this was for her. This was something that she's always wanted, because, you know, y'all gotta understand, a lot of these people in BLM are hipsters. They're like black hipsters. there are the maybe black goths, the outcasts who was able to latch on to something. And I believe Jaye is no different. A lot of these people go into these activist roles because they are nothing more than outcasts in society that want to latch on to something. Look at the weirdos in Antifa. I mean, it just shows you the outcasts of society latch on to certain groups, or you have the people who are into arts, into music, into fashion. They latch on to being activists, but it's only to promote themselves. That's what it's about. News of the transfer of money to the Canadian group has raised further questions about transparency and accountability within Black Lives Matter. Coming days after auditors said an inquiry into the handling of BLM's 60 million war chest was necessary, and less than a year after Cullors was forced to stand down amid questions about her own property empire. She did that because she knew she had messed up. And I think she thought that by stepping down that it would go away. It never goes away. When the government feels like you owe them some money, or you are, you're getting funds and you're misusing them, they're going to come after you. It doesn't matter who the president is. BLM Canada announced in July 2021 that they had recently purchased a 3-story Victorian mansion in the Baldwin Village area of Toronto, close to downtown. The imposing Red Rock house was previously the headquarters of the Communist Party, and it's very fitting that BLM would buy this property, seeming as though they basically support in their own way communism. On Saturday, the New York Post reported that the funds to purchase the property came from Black Lives Matter and were transferred from the Global Fund to M4BJ, a Toronto-based nonprofit set up by Jaye, Khan, and other Canadian activists. They took American funds, where the money basically came from, and they transferred it to a bunch of Canadian weirdos who wanted to buy a building for an art center. Like, shouldn't that money be going back to the black community? But these people don't care about the black community. This is why I don't understand the support that they do get. Khan is the spouse of BLM co-founder Patrice Cullors. I tell you, man, I'm telling you, this is a grifting power couple here, man. Khan, born in Toronto, described on a speaker's website as a black, queer, gender non-conforming activist, pronouns they, them, theirs, staunch Afrofuturist. Again, one of these hipsters, one of these I want to be a singer or a pop star, but I gotta settle for being an activist. And social justice educator who presents an enlightening point of view on police brutality and systematic racism. But that money ain't going to educating black people. It's going to getting you that mansion that you want for an art center. And again, listen, the people that are into, I'm gonna say this too, the people that are into art and fashion, there's nothing wrong with those people, but you have weirdos among you who latch on to activism in order to supplement their income, which is what is going on here. Khan and Cullors married in 2016 and have 2 children. Okay, now Patrice has 1 child that I know of. So you mean to tell me that Butch Jaye has a child? Listen, man. It's funny how, these chicks go from guys to girls and they have children. Because again, I know Patrice has 1 child, but unless they adopt it, Jaye, and this Jaye I want y'all to see, man. Jaye, who's on the right, has her own child. I'm assuming. Cullors stepped down as executive director of BLM Global Network in May of 2021 amid scrutiny of her $3.2 million property empire. It was unclear whether the money was transferred from Black Lives Matter Global Network to M4BJ before or after Cullors stepped down, and why the money went to M4BJ rather than directly to BLM Canada's affiliate. That's because that was going to her wife, and I think she set that in motion before she left. And then the ball got rolling after that. Neither BLM Canada nor Khan have responded to Daily Mail's request. Of course they're not, because that's what happens when you're out here grifting. When you're out here grifting and you're out here stealing, which is basically what it looks like, from the organization for your own pet projects, I don't know how an art center is going to help the black community. This is why you should not listen or follow people like this. This is why you have to be careful of the type of people that you are funding. Because I know it's a lot of you Caucasian people that give to BLM because of your white guilt. You better look twice, 3 times, 4 times. Actually look into these organizations before you give money to them. Now, I know a lot of this stuff is coming out now, but there's still going to be people that donate to this organization so they can buy art centers and more, vacation property or rental property. I think it's an absolute joke. The city of Toronto has provided the Wild Seed Center with $250,000 in Canadian money for capital upgrades, said Councillor Mike Layton, who represents the district in which the mansion sits. Sandy Hudson, the co-founder of BLM Canada, told CBC News in the summer that the center was vital for their work. How is an art center vital for the work of the community? This mansion ain't even in the black community. Why don't you go buy property in the black community? You know why they don't? Because most of these people are not even from a black community. They wouldn't even go to a black community if you asked them to. Because they don't like black people either. They just sit in their little groups and they try to pontificate and they try to show their education and their how they feel about the world and how the world should be black and queer. That's all they care about. They don't care about the black community. This is why they're here buying mansions for art centers. Like, what is that going to do for black people? Again, is vital to your work is not even in a black community that I know of. Now, if y'all can tell me if I'm wrong, if this mansion sits in a black community, I doubt it. But if it is, y'all let me know in Toronto. This is nothing more than them buying stuff for themselves to make themselves feel good, to be able to be cool while they sit in their ex-communist mansion and they drink and they socialize. This is what it's going to be, basically a socializing place to socialize. That's all it's going to be. I don't see how this helps black people whatsoever. It's a clown show. Having a space like this that has a level of prominence that is large, that allows for different types of organizations to come together and create community, is going to be really, really big shift for Black Canada and Black Toronto. Well, what type of communities are you talking about? Are we talking about the LGBT community or the alphabet community? Of course, that's the community that she's talking about. Is she talking about black people or Caucasian people? They're talking about their communities. They're not talking about any other communities. It's going to be a place for them to socialize amongst their own, basically. That's what it's going to be. Yet the news of the financing for the center comes at a difficult time for BLM. Last week, the charity auditors expressed alarm at the management of BLM's $60 million in donations after the merge that the people announced as leading the organization never took up the role. And no one seemed to be able to say who was handling the finances. Well, again, the people who've been running it are the biggest donors. The Caucasian liberals who've been puppeting these people, they're running it. Because Patrisse was never really a leader of anything. She was just somebody who was sitting in a supervisor role. That's it. The most recent tax filing for the charity from 2019 gives an address in Los Angeles that does not exist. That's crazy. That's not good. And the 2 remaining BLM directors identified by the Washington Examiner were not able to assist, with one even scrubbing BLM associations from his social media after he was contacted by the paper. I wonder why, bro. Why did you do that? Is it because you know what's coming? You know, is it because you didn't get your money and you realize that, you know, people might be getting arrested like this heifer here for voter fraud, voting? She's a felon that's not supposed to be voting. She's, by the way, the leader of the Memphis Black Lives Matter chapter. She's the founder of the Memphis chapter. Of course, a felon, an ex-felon herself. She's in trouble. So yeah, people are backing away from BLM because they realize what's coming, and because BLM is no longer really needed because all they were is a political entity. They are yet to file a 2020 return, a form 990 as required, which could see BLM fined by the IRS. Lori, yeah, I want to see them get fined. Lori, the executive director of Charity Watch, said the findings were deeply troubling and said that they should have filed their 2020 form by now. You know why? Because no one in that organization does anything. Patrisse was a front person, but she ain't running anything. It's a sideshow. It's a bunch of people that know nothing about running a business, which is what BLM is. And the people that probably did left. And Patrisse was like the last one that was there. Once she got her book deal and her movie, I guess a film project she's gonna be working on, she got out of there. And there's nobody really left there. Because they realized that this organization is gonna be pretty much dismantled probably. Because it really does nothing. That's why Patrisse been buying property. She's already moved on. Like a giant ghost ship full of treasure, drifting in the night with no captain, no discernible crew, no clear direction, she said. Paul, what is it? Kamener, Council of Conservative Watchdog Group, the National Legal and Policy Center, told the paper a full audit was needed, describing the situation as grossly irregular. Well, again, BLM started out by these three, and it ended up with just being one left. The rest got out of there. She stayed and got what she could get and got out of there. That is your black movement in 2021. It's full of people who do nothing but take, and they don't give anything to anybody. Y'all let me see in the comment section. Like this video and share it. Follow me, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'll see y'all on the next one.